The reality was they've made the playoffs for a month. You know, like they were always going to make the playoffs. Even if they lost out, they were still likely to make the wild card. With 89 wins, you're still going to make the wild card. But it moved, the goalposts have moved a lot over the last month and a half, to their credit, because they played so well and they've been so clutch.
Yeah.
And it moved past making the playoffs into you have to win the division and furthermore be the top team in the American League, because that's what's going to happen now because of what's going on with Cleveland or what's going on with Detroit. So, that's their first party. I love that Bichette flew down, continued his rehab so he could party down there with the guys.
Well, why not?
You have to.
He's put in a great –
I appreciate that.
He's had a great season. Like,
what would have been weird is if Santander was like, fly me in. Fly me in. Get me there from Buffalo. The guys barely know me. I've barely played. I want to party with the boys.
Well, I mean, I didn't see Manoah. If Manoah was in the middle, then you're like, okay, whatever.
Right.
You know what? The more the merrier. Like, regardless of it's the star players, the guys who got it done should be front and center. But even if there's guys that have contributed to this along the way, like I love that Bo was there because he's been a big part of it. Like, big part of it. So the fact that an injury has kind of kept you sidelines, I always thought, I mean, I've never been a part of this, so I can't really speak to the champagne and the eyes and over top of everybody's head, but it's a great tradition. I really do think it's pretty cool.
It's very uniquely baseball. Yeah. They'll do it again when they win the division.
Yeah.
When? Because I'm still confident they will. I think the monkey's off the back with that win yesterday.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, they've been playing really well, and then they lose 4 in a row, and it was ugly. Listen, it was ugly, man. Their run production was completely lost. They were not producing any hits, any runs. Scherzer on Friday night gets rocked.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, this guy can't even get out of one inning. That's concerning. You got Bassett going on the IL. There's a lot of different things popping up where you're wondering, okay, what is going on here? Yeah. I thought George Springer set the tone with his commentary before the game yesterday. Very cool, calm, collected. Basically a guy who's been in the league for a long time. Basically a guy who's won a World Series, right? And just said, hey, we know what's ahead of us. We know who we are, what we've done all year. We just got to go keep doing it. And I thought he led the charge yesterday. I thought he was great yesterday. And Springer's been the team MVP.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of guys who have factored in, but it's really been a remarkable season considering the mentality of everyone in the city, in the fan base, in the country, I think throughout baseball, when you consider where we were in the spring to where we are now. And a lot of the additions they made last year have not really been able to contribute that much. Santander, first and foremost, hasn't played at all.
Right.
Hasn't done anything all year. Hoffman's been shaky at times. Scherzer obviously didn't really start the first half of the season. Now has been shaky.
Yeah.
It's Barger, it's Clement, it's internal improvement. Guys like Springer and Kirk and Varsho, when healthy, has been great. It's been a remarkable ride. And credit to Jays. And we got playoff baseball coming back to Toronto. That's a great thing.
It's impressive. And whether they've earned it or not, you look at Ross Atkins took a lot of heat. Like Mark Shapiro took a lot of heat. Like those guys, it felt like 2 summers in a row. It was like, oh, we missed out on the big fish. And so then they had to spin it the other way. Internal improvement, all of that type of stuff. And it wasn't that long ago. I feel like we had these conversations in June. We were like, God, geez, if they could get to 82 wins, and now it's 90. Now it's going to be 90 plus, regardless of what they do the rest of the season. They've punched their ticket. You hope they win the division, and then you sit back and you go at it. You really push here in the playoffs to see if you can go and win a World Series. It's a great feeling, in watching it and just seeing the growth of some of the players. But some of the guys that you expected, like I say, I had zero expectation of George Springer, coming into the season.
No, I know.
And even, Schneider admitted that to us the other day. He goes, I would be lying to you if I didn't think, it would. We knew he had a down year, but we didn't think it was going to be this type of bounce back. That's a lot of pride in a high-end athlete. A lot of pride knowing he did not have his best season last year. It looked like kind of near the end, and what are they going to do with this big contract? And they're hiding him in the lineup, all these things. And now you need him front and center because he's a leader. He's done a great job.
It's incredible. Like the contract, you can't get away from it in sports. It's a huge part of modern sports in every league. And baseball's a little different because there's no salary cap. But this went from a huge issue in terms of team building. What are you going to do with George? How are you going to handle this because you're paying him so much money? To a very, like, a bang for your buck. Like, he's making a lot of money. He's making $24-25 million. So I'm not going to say, it's the greatest contract in sports.
bargain in history.
Yeah, it's not a bargain deal necessarily. He's not making it, $2 million, $3 million. He's making a lot of money, but he has exceeded that dollar amount, like, for sure. Like, he's playing like a $30-35 million guy. And that's what you need. Like, winning programs, you got to have the majority of your players playing above what you slated their value at. Right? Dollar amount or just simply expectation. And the Jays did it, and they partied. And I appreciate John Schneider and their no goggles, old school, man. Right? Everyone else got the ski goggles going.
Burning his eyeballs off, and he's
Schneider's
just
not
going
to see until game 1 of the ALDS. But he's in there like, I'm going no goggles, and let's party.
Yeah,
and
it
I
is
love that.
old school. Where are you at with Vladdy? Like, that's the only guy, like – again,
well, extra base hit yesterday, which is big. He needed that.
I get it, and it's clutch and all that. It's clutch.
Yep.
I just feel they've had so much success, and it's team success. There hasn't had to be this light shined on the $500 million athlete, which is good. I mean, it's a team game, all of that type of stuff. But you need him to be clutch. I need him in the playoffs to be. He's got to find another level.
He's
got to be
the
most
matter.
dangerous guy. Like, he has to be the most dangerous guy for the Blue Jays when other teams are looking at him. They're going, we got to pitch around this guy.
Absolutely. He's got to do what Juan Soto's done throughout his career in the playoffs. And, other like what Ohtani did during the playoffs last year, Freddie Freeman. Yeah. Like, best players show up, biggest moments, and that's when it's really going to matter because – the September, he had a great start to the month, tore up Cincinnati, went into Yankee Stadium and absolutely destroyed the Yankees. And then he had a 12-game run where he did nothing. Right. He had a few singles, and it's when they needed him, and it's when Bichette got hurt. So that's the thing. Bo got hurt, and you needed more out of Vladdy, and it wasn't there. But this is always going to come down to playoff success, right? Like, the legacy of every single athlete in any market is going to come down to playoff success, right? Ask the Maple Leafs about that. Ask the Leafs about that. They all make money. Vladdy's making more than all of them combined. But,
true.
if Vladdy wants to be, like, you got to go up the notch, right? The notch he's trying to hit is, like, you want to get to where Bautista is known and Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion. Then there's another one above that, which is where, Alomar is and Carter and Olerud and,
because they won.
Because they won. Yeah. Exactly. And, that, like, he's still on first base in terms of that legacy. His regular season numbers, because he's going to be here his whole career, he's going to rewrite every record book. Yeah. And Matthews is going to do the same thing. Vladdy and Matthews. If Austin's here, he's here for at least 3 more years. If he's here throughout his career, he's going to have every record. Goals, assists, points. And Nylander's going to be right behind him. Because if Willie spends 7 more years here, he's going to likely be second in everything. Because I think he's going to hit – I think he'll hit 1,000 points in his career. I think he will. If he does, he'll pass Mats, and that's the reality. But in order for you to be revered and beloved and you want a legacy that is on a completely different level, you got to win. You got to win. And even like with the Leafs as we transition here, you want to get to the Gilmore-Clark level, like you got to do what they did. They got to conference finals. Like you got to get there before you can go above that. And with the Leafs, it's a different story because it's been so long. But if you want to get to Keon levels or, Bauer or Horton levels or what have you, you got to win.
Yeah,
you got to win.
You have to be, a perennial difference maker. Have these runs where, you always say it. Like, I was not here. I was either in the league or I was, somewhere, younger. Where Dougie in this. You always say, Dougie in this. Or,
Dougie and Wendell.
Dougie and Wendell.
Clark,
Dougie in 93, right? That's what people reference in, we'll call it our generation, even though I'm older than you. But Joe from the Bridge, you talk about Dougie in 93, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to want to, Vladdy in 25. It's
That's
Kawhi
right.
in 19, right? Like, that's what you're looking for is these legacy moments from these players. And, Vladdy, the Jays have an opportunity here. I don't profess to, be an expert on baseball, but I've been watching, obviously, I watch as much Jays as I can because I've been fascinated with their season. It's just been such a massive turnaround. Is there, it's not Mary Swanson. It's not one in a minute. Like, if they make it, like,
they
you
can
think it's
win.
the Dodgers? Do you think they can win? Like, that's the thing. Like,
I mean, it's a weird year in baseball. Like, even the
Right.
Dodgers have not been perfect, and
Right.
they've dealt with a lot of injuries, and they have not been perfect. And the Phillies, you can look on paper, which is a dangerous game, but you look at Milwaukee, you look at Philly, you look at the Dodgers, you might look at the Yankees, and the Jays are going to have to continue to prove it, and they've had to continue to prove it all year.
Yeah.
But if you end up winning the AL East and you end up with that top seed in the American League, then everything's coming through you, right?
Right.
You have home field.
Yeah.
Who are you going to play that really is going to scare you? The Yankees, they could. Yes, the aura of the Yankees could scare you. Judge has got to continue to prove who he is in the playoffs. Juan Soto's not there anymore in the playoffs. They got to straighten out some stuff. It's weird. They're 90 wins and in the playoffs, and you still, Gosman and Bieber are going to pitch. I don't know if Scherzer's going to. I don't know if Bassett's going to be healthy. The bullpen scares you. There's things that scare you, but I think every team.
There's no perfect team.
There's no
right?
perfect team. There's no perfect team.
I guess that's where I was going, Brian, is like, are we doing all this? Like, is it just the Dodgers that just walk in and say,
I don't think
not
so.
today on our watch type of thing?
I don't think so. I mean, possibly, but listen, if the Jays lose to the Dodgers, that means they lost in the World Series.
Exactly.
You'd kind of take that,
Yeah.
You'd probably take that right now.
Okay, so we have these scenarios all the time.
Arbitration.
Would you sign, okay, and I feel like you're going to say no, which is fine, which I would probably say no too. Would you sign right now up for a World Series loss to the Dodgers?
It's not a simple no.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not a simple no, and I understand it's a loser's thing to say to accept that, and you probably want to just roll the dice because why not?
Yeah.
But I think there's a part of me that would take it because of that,
the run.
Yes, in the pecking order I just talked about, that surpasses the 15 and 16 teams.
Right.
That means they won the DS, they won the CS, which has not happened in 32 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's respectable to lose to the Dodgers. It is such a loser's answer. I get it's such a loser mentality.
It is.
Because why not roll the dice?
Well, yeah. I mean,
but it's the World Series.
You're right. You're in the dance. But ask, Oiler fans. They don't want to sign on that dotted line the last 2 years. They've been there. They've gone on these nice rides. You don't come up. You don't get a consolation prize. I think fan bases are like, just roll the dice. Give it to me and give it to me straight. And you know what? Because you never know. I think in 19, Golden State was favored, correct? If they were healthy, they were probably favored. Were they not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, if they were favored, if Durant's healthy and Klay
Right.
Thompson, for sure, because of who they were.
Right,
yep,
just because
sure.
of the aura around them, the success they'd had. But that's why you play the game.
That's why you play the game. So you sold me. I'm not going to accept it then.
I don't want you to. That's where
I'm
I was
rolling the
going.
dice. I'm rolling the dice.
I say you roll the dice, but listen,
go out and play.
Cart before the horse, all of that type of stuff. But it is just a nice, like it lets you let your mind go a little bit. That's what yesterday I was like, I could see.
Good for them.
You start making a pathway, and
yep.
You earned it though.
They earned it. 90 wins, man. It's tough to do in baseball. Very tough to do. And they got 6 games left. Season's not over. They get 3 against Boston and then 3 against Tampa. The Yankees have not slowed down, so there's still a sweat here. Like, the sweating is still going. The win yesterday, that was some relief. Like the AC, there was a little bit of air conditioning, but it wasn't jacked yesterday.
Yes.
But you wanted to really get pumping here because the Yankees have White Sox, Baltimore the rest of the way. But the Jays have the tiebreak. So, they really have a 3-game lead with 6 to go. Magic number's 4. Any combination of wins for the Jays or losses for the Yankees, and I think they're in a good position to do that. And the days off generally help this team. Like, that has been proven since the All-Star break. When they get a day off, they come back fresh, and they generally look and feel a lot better. So more on this with Keegan Matheson in about 15 minutes, how it sets up for the playoffs once we get there, what he made of the party. He was in the party. He was there in Kansas City. Yeah, we had NHL games cooking over the weekend. We had CFL rules getting changed.
I know.
People are freaking out. Apparently, Nathan Rourke, I just saw an internal email from Farhan. Nathan Rourke's taking shots at Stu Johnston.
Really?
He doesn't, yeah. Like, according to Farhan's email, again, it sounds as if maybe Nathan is not overly happy. We'll see when that comes in, and we'll play it a little bit later this afternoon. Stu will join us in the 5 p.m. hour.
Yeah.
But, the rules that have been changed here, I think from my standpoint, I like them. From my standpoint, they make sense. And if you want it to be quintessentially Canadian, to me, there's only two things that really, really matter. And here they are up on the screen. The new era in the CFL. Starting at 26, modified rouge, which I think had to happen. You couldn't have rouge, finishes and goofy finishes where a team misses a field goal, but they still win.
Yeah.
Automatic play clock that will kick in, which will change the pacing of the games, especially late. And I understand there's some hesitation there because generally the CFL, the finishes are phenomenal because the clock seems to freeze.
Yeah.
And goalpost location is going to change in the future. A shortened end zone, shortened field. They're going to go from 110 yards to 100. So RIP, the 55-yard line. But for me, there's two things. One, you got to just make sure it's all Canadian. None of the back in the day it was Vegas and Baltimore and all. It was always stupid, goofy.
Right.
It's quintessentially Canadian if it's an exclusively Canadian league, which it is. Yep. And you're making sure that there are Canadian players on every roster, which there are, and it's 3-down football. Yep. That's what the CFL is. That's so different. Like it's always been the main difference. Right. 4 downs in the States, 3 downs up here. If you have 3-down football, which you still do in the CFL, for me, these are worthy changes. Try it. See if it changes something. The look, the complexion, the feeling of the game.
I don't mind. You're trying to adapt. You're trying to grow the game. You're trying to expand it. We're familiar. I'm super biased. Love Stu Johnston. He's, obviously was our boss for years. Come on, and now he's gone on to the CFL. You can tell he's trying to be progressive and try to do things. Not everything may not land perfectly. We've talked about this before. The CFL is a massive, passionate fan base. I don't know if they like change. I don't know if they will accept everything, but you have to be open to it. It's funny. Tonight I'm going to call my buddies back home because they're the diehards, right? The Elks diehards. My buddy Trevor Ketza, the Ketza family have had season tickets since like the 70s. We're talking like that's I'm going to ask them, be like, what do you like these, the rule changes? What do you make of it? Because they're the ones every week, asses in the seats. It'll be interesting to see what people make of it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that. Now, I will say, if you're making moves, you're not necessarily thinking of the fans you already have, right? You're thinking of the fans you're trying to attract. And that's what is really going to be on the line here. Because, you said it. Diehard CFL fans who have loved the CFL their whole lives, I don't think they're jumping ship because the benches are on separate sides of the field now. Or because the goalposts are going to move or the rouge is going to be modified. You might be sentimental to that and you may not like it, but are you going to hate it so much you're out? I don't think so. Any change like this, or any time any league or any commissioner implements massive change, it's for the next generation. And that is one thing I'm not sure we have an answer for. Is this enough to get non-fans into the game?
A casual fan
into the game. I'm not sure it is. I'm really not sure it is. Doesn't mean it's not the right play. I just don't know if there's a 25-year-old, who loves the NFL, who's like, all right, now I'm all in on the CFL because the goalposts are moving, or because it's going to a 100-yard field, or the end zones are shortening. I don't know. These are largely cosmetic, which again I don't think hurt. I just wonder if what it's doing is it's the groundwork for more in the future. It's you got to take some baby steps here in terms of where the league is going. But Stu Johnston on that and more coming up later this afternoon. Luke will join us on a wild NFL. We got a great NFL Monday nighter tonight. Great game, Detroit-Baltimore, which will be outstanding. And you mentioned the Leafs in Ottawa. I mean, it was largely the Marlies. I always kind of laugh at the vets that have to go to that game. Like Yarncroke's there, and he's so rattled, although he scores quickly, and but like the vets that have to go, and someone's got to play. Someone's got to go on those games.
You do, and believe me, I've been that guy. Because they needed a certain amount of NHL vets on these rosters, I don't know how many times, when there was 8 preseason games, they would come to me and be like, you're going to dress in all 8 because we need veterans, and you might not play, but you'll be sitting there and you're dressing. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But, yeah, it was a skeleton crew. But a lot of times the skeleton crew, it's the biggest misnomer. Veterans, their first game out,
they don't care.
They're trying not to get hit. They're trying not to – and the young kids are full of it because they're trying to make the team. So I thought there were some real nice showings for some young players. There's still that rivalry, Leaf Ottawa, the fans got into it. I think the players know what's at stake. And, listen, for an afternoon exhibition, Sunday game, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was really a lot of goals. There were some tilts and some chirping and.
Yeah, it did.
That's what you're looking for, man.
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for. And I joke about Yarncroke having to go, but if I'm the Leafs, he's been a good player throughout his career. He's a serviceable player. Can he find a role on a third or fourth line? Do you love him in the playoffs? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Berube doesn't see him as an option. Maybe it's a platforming. Maybe it's you got to go prove to the league that you're healthy and you can play, and then we can flip you. Like that's possible. Yeah. But there's guys like him, and what's Nick Robertson going to do? Is he going to have another great camp, and we're talking about how he has to play because he scores goals? I don't know. I don't know if the Leafs will fall for that trick again.
There's bodies. They've got NHL bodies. They've got to make decisions. And for a guy like Yarncroke, for a guy like Robertson to at least have good showings, it puts Brad Treliving he wants to be in a tough spot.
Yep.
He wants to go, geez, I got too many good players here. I got to figure this out. You don't want it easy for him to go, this guy's done nothing in 3 preseason games, like I can move away from him. You want him in a tough spot. That's what Tree is dying for.
Definitely.
Competitive camp.
Yeah,
really.
Competitive camp. And then again, other teams are going to possibly come calling on certain guys.
Exactly.
We talked about it the other day that if it ends in waivers, you're probably going to lose guys, unfortunately. But maybe you get some cap relief, and that could be a bonus as well for the Leafs in the future.
For sure.
All right, Jays are off to the playoffs. Keegan Matheson was in the house in Kansas City. We'll catch up with Keegan. Luke coming up on the Monday Nighter tonight. It was all about block kicks yesterday in the NFL. It was just a crazy, crazy day. And Luke will join us at 5. Al's brother and I on the clock for the game tonight. Stu Johnston coming up, commissioner for the CFL, in just over an hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Tonight on TSN 1050, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Hear it all on TSN 1050. The NFL lives here. Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Luke Wilson coming up in half an hour on the CFL rule changes. His take on a big Monday nighter. Ravens-Lions. One of these teams is facing 1 and 2 to start the year. That's daunting, man. For 2 teams like this that are that good, high expectations. What a ball game.
There is lots to get into because that's Cowboys team, man.
Oh, they're brutal. And now CeeDee Lamb's got a high ankle sprain. He's done.
I mean, Pierre LeBrun has to be beside himself. But, I mean, we'll get into it.
We got a lot. And my Packers, we were off track Friday because it was a unique day.
I know.
I'm telling you, I was telling people this is a trap game. Now, I thought they'd win. Don't get me wrong. I was convinced they'd win. But they're young. They're getting cocky. I think this is actually a good thing they lost that game.
They're reading their press clips. That's what they're
Absolutely.
doing. And this is what I'm hoping, Hayes, that the Blue Jays might be hungover today, but they got to be right back to work because the job's not done. You made the playoffs. That's the thing. So Keegan, he might be hungover today, too, if he was right in the mix.
That's a good question.
Right in the mix with John Schneider.
What are the rules for reporters, and members of the media in there?
Yeah.
Here he is from MLB.com, Keegan Matheson. You're picking up on booze shrapnel in there? Like, what's the story?
Fellas, I lost some brain cells, that's for sure. The beer and champagne, it's like it mixes together and forms this gas. in the clubhouse. And I felt like I had 4 nostrils, guys. Like I could breathe. It really clears you up. And I try to stay off to the side. You know, I go in, I give my video. I try to stay way off to the side. I haven't accomplished a damn thing. Get out of the way. But you do catch some strays. Kevin Gosman made sure I got nice and drenched. I'll be honest, fellas, I tried to hide behind a couple of other Blue Jays media members, and then I realized I'm a lot taller and wider than them, so it didn't help me much. But it was messy, guys. And then the dangerous part, or the tricky part, is always getting home from those. I've definitely been asked to get out of taxis before in cities on the road. And in Kansas City, I was driving back to the hotel. So I had to obey that speed limit, fellas. If I got pulled over, it was game over for me. And then back at the hotel, I hung out in the lobby trying to get an elevator by myself. And just as I was about to go up, a lady stuck her hand in and got on with me. And I have never seen someone look at me so disgusted in my life. I did not smell good. It was a bad scene, and you can't explain it, so I just had to stand there and wear it for 19 floors waiting to go up.
Nothing wrong with that, though. Keegan, who was who you know, it's a good story, and it's actually, you know, something to celebrate. But who was, you know, in the dressing room? Who's leading the charge on all of the celebrations? I mean, you know, you could see, we were watching some of the video in the live in the room. Guys were pretty excited, but there always seems to be maybe 1 or 2 guys that just is over the top excited. Like, who was basically the guy leading the charge?
George Springer, Max Scherzer, and Vladdy. I think Vladdy dumped out about 150 of those aluminum cans of Budweiser. I was up to my ankles in beer at some points, guys. It was there was a lot of Budweiser that was wasted that day. I think some of it went in people's mouths. I don't know how much. But George was right in the middle of it. The man can dance, let me tell you. He's probably still shirtless at this point. And then you have some guys off in the corner. You know, Jose Barrios walks by drinking a bottle of water, which is just perfectly Jose Barrios. But, man, some of those guys were right in the middle of it. And I had the question, guys, that will they go full-on celebrate? And then I took myself back for a second. I mean, you're with your buddies. You're away from your families, your responsibilities, and you've got an off day on Monday. Hell yeah, they're going to celebrate. I think that plane ride home was probably looked a lot like what we saw in the clubhouse. So they leaned into it. And when they eventually clinch the division, or when they should clinch the division this week at home, I think they're going to burn that building down, man. I think that's going to be a major, major celebration.
Big time. That's the one that really puts it over the top, because then your job's done. Then the rest of the games are meaningless. You know you got a long break. Yeah. You're avoiding the wild card, right?
You can break as many laws as you want after the division. Like
exactly.
Fire code, anything. Nothing matters. You're allowed to do whatever you want for like 2 hours. You get immunity from the law, I think.
I agree. 100%. 100%. And then on top of it, you could imagine a World Series celebration. I mean, then it's like you have immunity for life, possibly, or close to it. Well, you know, listen, to their credit, they got it done. It was dicey at times, even yesterday. They had lost 4 in a row. It was kind of teetering there. The Yankees aren't losing. The Yankees are off today. They got White Sox and Orioles left in terms of their 6 games. But you said that, you know, in somewhat in a matter-of-fact way or fashion, that you think this is going to happen. They're going to win the American League East. They have a big lead, clearly, 2 games, but really it's 3 because of the wild card. Why are you so confident that that's going to happen either against Boston or Tampa on the weekend?
They'd better, guys. If you botch this at the finish line, that's a complete disaster. The Blue Jays need to be wrapping this up, and the easy way to look at it for people listening is that if the Blue Jays go 500, go 3-3, the Yankees would need to win their last 6 games. That said, the Yankees are not playing a tough finish to their schedule. They can easily go 5-1 or 6-0. So the Blue Jays need to still do this. They need to play some legitimate baseball. The Red Sox are going to be tough. Down the stretch, the Rays will not be as much, but they've got to lock this up, guys. They need to finish with a sense of momentum, because really going back to that big stretch through June and July when it felt like they were winning 6 games a week, they were the hottest team in baseball. Since then, August through September, they've just been good. And you've got to be picky at this time of year. Good is not good enough. You need to be a great team, an elite team at this point of year. They've been good. They've been okay. but they need that sense of momentum. They need to really lean back into their identity as a team again. And we've seen this week what it looks like when they don't. And I know, guys, that a lot of that gets wiped away as, oh, these streaks happen. Well, if those streaks didn't happen, we'd already be talking about a division. You know, I cover the games, and call me old-fashioned, but I think the games still matter. I don't care what probabilities or anything else says this time of year. You've got to put this to bed. And if you can do it by Thursday or Friday, that allows you a couple of extra days, that weekend, then the bye, to get Bo Bichette back, line up your rotation, see what you have in Trey Savage. You stack up advantages. You get so many things in your favor if you can do it the easy way. We'll see if they can.
So, Keegan, at the starting of this season, and, you know, there was a lot of, including us on the show, we were not sure what we were going to get out of this team. You know, now we're almost at the finish line of the regular season. What has been the biggest surprise for you from expectations to the reality of this group?
Oh, guys, we could go all day. I mean, next time I'm in studio, guys, we've got to bring up the 10 dumbest things I've said on this show in 2025. And a lot of them would be from February and March. And I can still picture it, guys. Normally when we talk in spring training, I'm standing off on the side practice field where it's quiet. And we were talking about a team that was going to be boring and was going to be 500 maybe. Maybe they'd be bad. Maybe they'd be good, a few games in either direction. But I didn't sense much excitement from this team, and I can't pretend I did in hindsight. I think George Springer jumps to my mind first, though. Guys, like, this guy's going to get MVP votes, top 10 MVP voting. I would have called you crazy. I thought that at this point of the year we were going to be talking about, like, what do you do with this guy next year? 1 year left. Can you roster him? He has been indicative and emblematic of every single thing this team's doing right. The clubhouse culture, the offensive strides they've taken, how they run the bases. Like, when I think of the 2025 Blue Jays guys, and I think we've said this before, but I think of George Springer going first to home on a double and just hauling it around third base, all efforts. You know, I think he has really been at the forefront of so much of this. It's a season where everything's gone right. And this is the type of season that only happens once every 10, 15, 20 years. For most organizations. More often than not, we're talking about surprises that went wrong. But everything is broken right for the Blue Jays, some of it by luck, some of it by them controlling it. But, man, oh, man, I did not see this coming for George Springer. Nothing close, because he was bad last year. And then remember, guys, the spring training he was like 1 for 1,000,000. He looked terrible in spring training. And he has bounced back to be one of the best stories in all of Major League Baseball. It wouldn't surprise me if he finishes 5, 6, 7 range in MVP voting. It's been that good. Oh,
I think he deserves to be. Absolutely. I mean, he's look at his numbers. His stats have been off the charts. And, you know, we know who it's going to be, Big Dumper, and it's going to be Judge, and maybe Scooble's number 3. But beyond that, I think Springer should be right in that conversation, and he's earned that. And you were not alone with that. The Jays would have been thinking the same way. Like, there's no way Ross Atkins thought he was getting this out of George Springer this year. No chance. And, you know, again, the idea that Santander has brought nothing to the table this year. The fact that, you know, Scherzer and Hoffman, their stats are not very good. Those were the big additions for the most part last offseason, and they haven't really been, you know, they haven't brought much. Garcia has been hurt. You know, like, a lot of their additions just have not factored in. The amazing thing is it's been internal improvement. Like, that's really what is crazy to me, Keegan.
It's that term that we roll our eyes at every year, you know? And, and now I feel like this takes away my right to mock that term for the next decade. Guys, that's a terrible loss for me. Every time that Ross Atkins or whoever runs this team down the road says internal improvements, I'm going to have to look at this season, because Santander wasn't just bad. He's negative value. Jeff Hoffman at many stretches has been blowing saves, has had a high 4 ERA. Scherzer has been around league average. When you look at that number, ERA now worse than league average. Like, this is not added value in any way. And you're talking, like, I'm writing stories about guys like Miles Straw and Tyler Heineman and Ernie Clement and Nathan Lucas. Man, it's genuinely, it worked out. A lot of the stuff that I got to admit I rolled my eyes at in spring training. Oh, we're going to put the lineup together in different ways. What? But it's working. Something about it is working. And, guys, that's why I think a lot of credit does need to go to John Schneider, who I think should win Manager of the Year, and his coaching staff. Even for me, I'm around this team as much as anyone. It's hard. It's really hard to see what value a manager or coaches have day to day because it's so cluttered. There's 1,000 coaches. But I think you're seeing what that actually looks like when you get a coaching staff, a clubhouse, and a front office that are on the same page. Like last year, they weren't even in the same book, I don't think. They're on the same page this year.
With Keegan Matheson, MLB.com. And, you look ahead now where Scherzer gets blown up in his last start. He can't get out of the first inning. His ERA in the first inning is like over 8. Bassett's on the IL. They've already shifted Barrios to the bullpen. So I think it's safe to say Gausman and Bieber are pitching in the playoffs or starting in the playoffs. Who else is going to start games? Or who starts game 3, in your opinion?
Looks a lot like you Savage at this point, guys, it's happened quickly. And he was better than his line was the other day. I don't say that often, but I legitimately think he was better than his pitching line said. A couple of those hits didn't make it out of the infield. There was that weird Marshall catch or no catch. It was a catch.
Yep.
But I think it's you Savage in game 3. And at that point, you probably have Chris Bassett or Eric Lauer or somebody ready in the bullpen just in case. Because he's still a rookie. That'll be, his 4th start in the big leagues? If he is walking a few guys in the first inning, you pull that parachute quick. But I think it's you Savage. And then who do you go to in a game 4 if you need one is even trickier. It's not Barrios at this point, guys. The stuff is just not there anymore. That's going to be an interesting conversation going into next year. But he's in the bullpen just because that's where you've got to go. I don't think he's going to be used down there. It's an awkward spot, but probably Bassett if I had to pick it today. And you're going to have Lauer or someone else down there, Scherzer, maybe available out of that bullpen. But Scherzer, guys, I know the career is incredible. I know the name value is incredible, and I respect the hell out of everything he's done. But it's what have you done for me lately? And there's been a lot of home runs, some bad short outings recently. So I might be more interested in seeing him really maxed out in a bullpen role, which we've seen in the past worked.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that'll be an interesting conversation, though. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for Schneider sitting Scherzer down.
Tell the guy you might get put through that wall, but
yeah, exactly.
At the same time, I think he'd understand. He knows how this game works, and he's come out of the bullpen on short rest in the playoffs in the past, and won World Series doing that. And I think he can really crank it up a couple more times if you ask him to.
All right. Well, it's a beautiful thing we're talking about this. That means the Jays are going to the playoffs, and we'll see if they end up wrapping up the AL East like you. I think they will very, very soon. And then the party starts back up again, and Keegan, you'll be right there, right in the middle of it. Great stuff, buddy. Appreciate you doing this.
You got it, fellas. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Keegan Matheson, MLB.com. Big part of SportsCenter. Him and Hedge crushing it. I
know. He's
the best duo in sports right now. Keegan
right
and
mix,
Jennifer Hedger.
I love that he goes, I'm a kind of a tall guy and a little wider. He's like, I'm getting hit with everything. And that
it is a weird celebration though that they the guys intentionally waste all the booze.
I know. Like you're splashing it. I always thought it was weird though, even their post game, somebody hits a walk off and they're doing an interview and they just get hit with the Gatorade.
The Gatorade splash. And that's what happened to that's what led to Ken Rosenthal's I wouldn't say downfall, but he had to really explain himself when he buried that camera guy, and then looked at him like, "How dare you be in my path?"
I know.
Bit awkward for Kenny boy. All right, Luke coming up in 15. Stuart Johnston, I was going to say CEO, commissioner of the Canadian Football League, and we'll get into the new rules today. We'll get him to react to what Nathan Rourke has been saying about these new rules, and. We'll get into some of the NHL action again over the weekend. The Leafs with a big win yesterday. A big win. Big win to start everything off. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Tonight on TSN 1050, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Hear it all on TSN 1050. The NFL lives here. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. We got Luke Wilson coming up. And the first 10 names of TSN's top 50 list were revealed today.
Yeah.
Right, 50 through 41, and your boy Ovi snuck in there. You see that, Alex Ovechkin?
Well, he should. The guy had 44 goals last year?
Yeah. It's a legacy play, man. I can't wait to see him this year.
How is it a legacy play when he's got 40 goals?
I know, but he was chasing something.
You're right.
I don't know what to expect out of Ovi. Doubting him for scoring goals clearly is one of the dumber things you could do, because every year he's proven he'll score.
I do think it's kind of funny. I'm glad to see Jake Sanderson on there. You know how much I think of him, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's funny to see Sergei Bobrovsky, kind of low. I think it's like this guy has won back-to-back cups, could have won a Conn Smythe. McDavid won it, but Hall of Famer, been brilliant, have had a really nice, really almost a 2.5, 3 year stretch here, one of the best goaltenders on the planet. It's kind of like an afterthought. It's you got to have Bobrovsky in there.
I have a tough time with goalies every year. You know that, Noodles.
Yeah, you and I have talked about it.
I have a very difficult time slating them and where they're supposed to be.
So let me ask you this. Jesper Bratt is higher than him on that list. Would you trade Jesper Bratt straight across for Sergei Bobrovsky?
Of course not. For 1 year, of course not. No, of course not. And I guess if you put it that way, here's the problem with that is you could get a lot. You'd get a lot of goalies in. If Jesper Bratt who had a great season last year. Bratt was phenomenal last year.
I cherry picked.
No, but he's the perfect name. He's right there with Bob. He's right there. He's technically, I guess, behind him, but he's right in the same range.
Right.
You could get, I think, 10, 12, 13 goalies deep, where you'd say, I think I'd take the goalie if I know that goalie is going to play. The thing is with goalies, too. It fluctuates. Now, it can fluctuate with players, too. Like, Bratt's not a lock to have a point a game and be dominant or anything like that. But it's a tough list because you get past the first, certain amount of superstars, and then there's a lot of good players. Right. There's a lot of guys in the same ballpark.
But that's the thing I always talked about, and our boy Strutty was in the mix, and him and I talked about it at length. I said, tell me the difference between the 38th pick and the 46th.
Very difficult.
It's opinion based, right? You I like this guy better, and I like this guy. Oh, and I forgot that Utah's in the league, and I got to put I don't know. I struggle with that list because I initially I'll go on my instinct, and then I sleep on it, and I look at it, and all of a sudden I change 10 guys, and I'm like, okay, that guy. How did I forget this guy? And top 50 Dougie. I always laugh because I'm like, is Dougie
top 50
Hamilton?
Dougie Hamilton?
Yeah,
not on the list this year. I don't believe. I mean, maybe he's in the top 40. He shouldn't be.
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean, you look at even Roman Josi. Down year for Nashville, and that guy drops into the 40s.
Yeah,
he was 16 last year. It's very difficult to project because what you have is history. You have to consider, what have you done for me lately? What did you do last year? Where are you with your team? What's going on with the age of the player? Injury concerns. All these things, I guess, have to be factored in. But I had 6, 7, 8 guys that I tried to get in that I couldn't find a way to get in. Yep. And again, it's not. This isn't brain surgery. It's not. It's a top 50 list. It's not as like if you miss a guy, no one's going to lose sleep over it. And it's obviously the consolidation of all of the different voters. Yes. But I don't know. Ovi is the one that always sticks out to me because I haven't had him on my list in like 3 years.
But yet he just keeps proving us wrong.
He scored a ton of goals.
But you're right. Now we've got him on the list, and he gets 18 this year, and he plays 48 games.
That's what I'm
banged up
unfortunately bracing for. His final year, swan song. He caught Gretzky. Yeah. He'll score. He's going to have like 12 assists. 5-on-5, it's going to be a disaster to watch him chug around the ice. And I'm like, I can't do it. I got to stick to my guns here.
It's fair. But, I mean, this is going to be such a debatable list. I don't want to give away, but you and I had a chat about something today, and I was like, there were people that left potentially a top player off their not off their list, but didn't have them at the top. And I was like, that is crazy. But there's just, that there's going to be arguments about
That's the beauty of it because everyone sees the game differently. Yeah. And there's so many different players, and people are biased. Like you guys, you lean goalie. All might lean goal scorers. Some people lean defensemen. Everyone's got a different view of the game.
Agreed.
And intangibles, what's important.
Yeah. Exactly.
The top 10, you look at a guy like Tom Wilson. Like, where's not top 10, clearly, but the first 10 that came out, it's like, where should Wilson be in? Is he in?
Yeah.
He had a great year last year, and he's a beast.
Yeah.
That's Jacob Slavin's a guy. Should Slavin be way higher on the list? He's a brilliant defensive defenseman.
Yeah.
Like, brilliant.
But people don't factor that in.
He doesn't score points, so now sneak him in the 40s.
Yeah.
All right, hour 2 coming up. Luke Wilson, Stuart Johnston will join us. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. Luke Wilson will join us here in just a moment. Luke's going to come in firing on that Eagles win and that Eagles cover last night. And I can't even argue against it. It's the worst bad beat, I think, of all time.
In the history of, since we've been doing it,
Definitely
it's probably Overdrive's
since we've been doing it.
Worst bad beat.
100%. And I don't think there's anything within reason. I mean, the Rams, they're in range for a field goal. Even if they miss the field goal, they still cover, right? Like, all they got to do is get the ball in the air, or if it gets blocked, just jump on it. And not only does no one jump on it.
Look at this guy running.
Dude, this guy, Jordan Davis, is 330 pounds. He blocks the kick, picks it up, and takes it to the house, and he's 300 bills.
Nobody can tackle him either. Like you can't catch that guy. Like, that was in slow motion, him running.
Oh, it was amazing.
I think everyone was in shock.
I saw
that's what it was.
Right tackle Fred Johnson said after the game, he goes, "I'm so happy for the guy. I'm happy for his big ass." It's such a great quote.
If you smell what the Win Wilson is cooking. Girl,
Yeah, there he is.
You know who wasn't happy, Hayes? This guy.
I know. That's the worst bad beat of all time, man. Certainly since we've been doing it. I can't believe he picked it up and took it to the house.
So, to give you a little context for me as well here, I'm sitting there, and obviously it was Friday. We're at BMO. It's a bit of a ballsy pick, going on the Rams on the road.
Right.
And I'm sticking my neck out there a little bit in Noodles. So I send a text, which I shouldn't have done, when they were up 19, and I said, "How about that Rams pick?" In the group.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, we get there, and we're on the desk. We're meeting Kara Waglin, myself, and Davis Sanchez, and we're talking about something else. And behind the TV screen is the camera is a few screens, and one of them has the game on. And I'm watching Matthew Stafford, boom, 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 right down the field. I'm like, seen this before. We're good. Yeah. And I'm counting down. I'm like, okay, even if they get stopped, anything but a turnover, I'm good. Like, turnover for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cover's there. We're even. We're feeling good.
Yeah.
We're live on television, and I'm watching, I think Davis is talking, and I'm watching behind the camera to be like, okay. And then I see it blocked. And at first, I'm like, no big deal. Right. Because we still cover.
Right, exactly. Jump on it, and it's
And then
over.
I see Jordan Davis pick it up, and I think to myself, one, someone's going to tackle him, or two, kind of one of those rules when the game's over, you just never want to risk it. He's going to slide.
Yeah,
the game's over. There's no
down
time.
on it. Yeah,
get down.
Zero's on the clock.
And then all of a sudden, I see him running, and there's just no Rams on the
Forrest
screen.
Gumping it, too. He was flying.
Flying. And my head almost exploded. It almost, I'm on live TV, and I'm like, I want to drop some profanity right now. Don't worry, Doogie, I won't.
Yeah.
I was so enraged. I'm like, there is no way that I stuck my neck out there to take the Rams on the road, and they should have won the game, let alone covered.
Yeah.
And Jordan Davis just returned a blocked field goal to beat the spread.
I was blocked. Dude, it's the craziest finish I've ever seen, and that was the theme of the day. Blocking field goal kick. The Packers game was over. And it gets blocked, and then Flacco, to his credit, goes down the field And, there was another game. Was it the Cardinals-Niners game? I can't remember.
No, it was the Bucs game. Now, the Bucs ended up still winning, but the Bucs had the wild one.
Yes.
Where the Jets came back and Baker had to lead a drive there.
Crazy. Like, what was it about yesterday where all of a sudden no one can get a field goal in the air?
And it was funny because we went over on Jay a little bit. Everyone was a little more. You got to kick the ball high. Like how we were always told is, okay, outside, if we do all our splits right, somebody from the edge should be beat with operation, meaning snap, hold, kick timing. We should be able to beat the outside edge rusher by the time of our operation time.
Right.
How these guys are taught to kick these days is to really pop the ball up so that if you don't allow penetration, even guys' hands up, it's too high. Like the first one, the second one had more penetration. But I'm like, you just missed the kick, bro. Like, you drilled it. And, again, it's different if it's a 65-yarder and you really got to push the ball. I couldn't get over that. Cardi does it not once but twice. Now, the Packers one, not on the kicker. If you watch that thing, they got beat. The side got concave. They got beat up front. Like, it's just bad protection.
What was your biggest shock yesterday in the game? Was it in all the games? Was it Green Bay losing? Was it the Cowboys losing? Like, what was, your
the
overall
Rams not
take?
covering, notwithstanding.
Yeah. Outside of that,
there's a few Noodles. I think one, you mentioned the Cowboys. Like, generally speaking, when you have a group that is that bad, meaning their defense, because the Cowboys' offense is good.
Yeah.
The Cowboys' offense, and I'll stand by that. But you generally see improvements from week to week. Hey, this isn't working. Let's kind of shrink the playbook. Let's get back to fundamentals. Let's really preach fundamentals. Maybe we'll add some new wrinkles in, try different guys, and even like the idea that, hey, nothing we've done has worked. So if we kind of like not create a new defensive scheme, but throw more wrinkles in, it generally will at least catch people off guard. So you get a couple stops. Right. The Cowboys' defense has been an utter abomination for 3 straight weeks. So that was a bit shocking that there was just no improvement and made Caleb Williams look like John Elway at times. And he's been real tough. I think the most shocking thing, though, if I want to be honest, was Ben Johnson's post-game speech. I think I heard that in like my 5th grade class. That was like a logo. I don't know if Doogie can pull up the good, better, best. I'm like, this was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever heard. I don't really – it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Like in a bad way or a good way?
Terrible way. Maybe the worst way of all time.
All right, good. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Just confirming that.
I was shocked. I'm like, yeah, this was stuff we said in elementary school. But – and then, back to going on the field, it's tough for me to get over that.
Green
Rams
Bay,
game.
I'm not surprised by.
Green Bay, listen, Cleveland's defense is good. Hey.
Exactly. And
but
here's what I was worried
a trap
about.
game, though, Brian, right? You thought that was
exactly.
A trap game.
And again, easy for me to say now. I'm telling you, I was talking to a lot of Packer fans over the weekend. I thought they'd win, but I said be careful because they're still, I think, the youngest team in the league, if not the youngest close to it. They've had 2 home games. They're running on a high. Cleveland, their defense is really good. It's a tough place to play in. And they're reading their press clippings, and they're talking going 17-0, and they're getting cocky. I think this is a good thing. I think Matt LaFleur secretly loves that this happened.
And it's an AFC opponent, so tiebreaker-wise, not a huge implication.
And you got Dallas next week, then a bye.
Totally.
So they got to win next week, clearly, and you're 3-1 into the bye, and you'll be okay in the end.
The only thing that's tough, Hayes, is, and I mean, everyone lives it. You got to get over it. But when you play a defense like that, you play a Myles Garrett, it's such a slog all game. And you do enough to, like, put your field goal unit in position to win you a ball game. It just is it's like
crushing.
It is crushing. It is crushing.
They should have had that. They still should have won in the end.
Yes, they have no business losing that game.
No. But they did. And, like, you look at some surprises in the NFL. I look at the Niners, who found a way to win yesterday. Mac Jones escaping for his life in the end zone, which was incredible. But they're 3-0, which I didn't see coming. I know Niner fans are waiting to pounce because I had a bunch of them yelling at me in the summer when I didn't think they would be that competitive this year. But now Nick Bosa's done for the year. He's torn his ACL. He's done for the year. They've survived without Purdy, and Jones has been fine. Yesterday was a weird, low-scoring game. But I don't know, man. I don't know how it's going to work for the Niners. Like, you're 3-0, but how do you feel today?
And this is what's tough. If I had to give an MVP out to the Niners right now, it would go to defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. But losing Nick Bosa is crushing. And it's funny because it's weird how these narratives get created where because they have such a good staff, they've got Kyle Shanahan, obviously an offensive guru, Kubiak, and I get them all confused, but I believe Clay is the OC there, not Clint. Clint is in Seattle.
Okay.
The third brother's name is Klein. I played with him in college.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah,
confusing for everybody.
Shout out to
Larry,
Rice
Daryl,
Owls.
and Daryl.
But I think that's a pretty, obviously the dad, Kubiak, the Mike Shanahan offense, good football lineage there. And Robert Saleh is cream of the crop when it comes to D coordinators. So for some reason, it's like, Nick Bosa's out, but the narratives of the Niners still might be good. Like, could you imagine, if we were, last year when Aiden Hutchinson got hurt from the Lions, it was like the sky is falling,
Right, and eventually it did.
Correct. So I really do think the Niners are in trouble. Not trouble in the sense they're going to be awful, but I did have them as like an outside kind of looking in team to be a Super Bowl contender. Not in my, let's call it top 4, top 5, but I thought they'd, be in the conversation of the next group. And right now, it's like Kittle's gone for a while. We don't know when Purdy's coming back. Ayuk is the big question mark when he's going to come back. Jennings has been out. I mean, these are their best guys. Nick Bosa's now done for the year. This is a very, very tough, situation for the Niners.
Tough division, too.
Yes.
All the other teams are 2-1.
Totally.
What about are the Chargers for real?
They're for real. Noodles, they're for real. Like, the Chargers 4 years ago don't win that game yesterday.
Right.
And the biggest thing for me right now has been Greg Roman, and I've played in his offense, is one of those guys that he's always had this very electric run game. It's been complex. There's been like come up to the line of scrimmage and we can flip the run over, or we can just say and we got to go to the second run. And you got to know as like the fullback tight end, okay, we got to all adjust. Like it's not really a motion thing. It's more of a shift. And it's worked. It's worked well. But I've never seen him have a offense that throws the ball this well. That's kind of why they got rid of him. Not, parted ways. I shouldn't say got rid of him. Parted ways in Baltimore was because, Lamar wanted to take that next step as a passer. Right. Same thing. Roman was calling Kaepernick's guy, and Kaepernick could obviously sling it, but you never really thought of him as like, hey, this guy's a pure pocket guy. Where right now, Herbert is absolutely humming. I mean, throwing the ball all over the place, making a ton of plays. The defense looks very, very good, making a lot of plays at key moments. They're winning ball games. Harbaugh's got this team bought in, it seems like. I can't say enough. And Denver, it's tough.
Impressive.
They're 1-2 now, and they've lost 2 games on last-second field goals. And the one of them, the guy missed, and they had that leveraging penalty.
Right, last week. Danny Dimes, man. Danny 3-0.
Indiana Jones,
Indiana
baby.
Jones 3-0, man. The guy's Peyton Manning when he puts on that uniform.
No question.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But you're right. Chargers 3 divisional games too, right? 3-0 against the division, which is mighty impressive to start your year like that.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Lions a moment ago, and it segues into the Monday Nighter tonight. Ravens, Lions, one of these two teams face them 1-2.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Hazenbrough on the clock. We'll get to my pick in a moment, and it is locked in. I've spoken to my friend from the West Coast. He's still in Vancouver, I think. Anyway,
enjoying his life, eh?
Yeah, he's having a great time. But where do you see this one going tonight? Ravens, Lions.
To be honest, and I'm really glad that I'm not calling this game. And
Tough
I
game.
mean that.
Big spread, 4.5.
It's a tough game, and both teams kind of had, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in their first 2 weeks. You look at Detroit and got absolutely smacked, almost embarrassed by Green Bay. Now, again, I was on here in Lambeau. Micah's first day. Green Bay is a legitimate team. They kind of got behind. I get it. And then they come back and they smoke the Bears. Although the Bears did win yesterday, I think the Bears are pathetic.
Stink.
And
so, Dallas is worse.
Yeah.
Totally. It's hard to put stock in that game. But in the same breath, I'm not saying the Lions are a bad football team because of week 1. So there's a lot of questions, I think, that still need to be answered there. And you look at Baltimore, it's kind of similar where week 1, obviously offensively, they looked like a juggernaut, which is kind of what we all expected. Week 2, Henry did not go off. Obviously, they got a win. but that was also because they got a lot of turnovers against Joe Flacco. And the question mark now becomes, is Baltimore's defense in the same spot they were at the beginning of last year? I don't know if you remember last season.
Yep.
The second half of the season, Baltimore's defense was electric, unbelievable. The first half, they were awful. And they were awful against Josh Allen. And again, this is what I'm saying, tonight's going to answer a lot of questions. MVP Josh Allen, guy was playing out of his mind. And then they were really good against Joe Flacco. Tough to put stock in that. So that's why, again, I'm glad we don't have this pick. And I'm glad we won last night. We should have been 2-0. We should be 1-up right now. Worst beat of all time.
Sure.
But you'll probably choke this one tonight, and we'll be even Steven.
Quickly, before I get to my pick, I do want to point out the Doogie jam job on Friday. That line was Chargers -2.5.
And he pushed it to 3.
Forever. And literally as I'm reading it, I'm at BMO Field. I got a million things on the go. And I'm like, all right, let's get to the 4 p.m. game. And he's in my ear going, it's up to 3, it's up to 3, which I don't believe it actually was. I think he pushed it to 3 before the line actually moved.
My man, Doogie.
He's trying to keep things close this year, and I appreciate that. He's a puppet master, and he wants you guys to stay in.
Yeah, until he sends a text. Noodles, you were on that one. He sends a text yesterday after the push. Hey, Hazenbro up 3. I said, no, they're not.
Which is more proof that the guy
really
was
pushed back on
being
him.
fraudulent because he forgot that he had jammed himself up with the fake push.
I was so mad. I was still seething after that end of the Rams game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do not give these guys a bonus
It was
point,
a push.
Doogie.
It was a push. Chargers by 3. It's all good. But we're going to take the Ravens tonight. Now, we're laying the 4.5. A game like this, it starts with who do I think is going to win the game? I think Baltimore's going to win the game. I think Baltimore wins. They're at home. I don't love Jared Goff on the road. I think this is where the coordinators really show up. Like you said at Lambeau, they had all summer to prepare for that. They didn't look great. Jared Goff is splits, Ford Field, and on the road, very different, under the lights tonight. I feel like this is a Lamar Jackson special tonight. I think he cooks tonight. I think he goes off. I think the Ravens, again, showed up pretty well defensively last week. Everything you said is accurate. It's Joe Flacco, but I think them at home is pretty significant. Going to Josh Allen, like on the road, Josh Allen week 1, that's as tough as it gets, man, the way Allen's playing. So, I see Ravens win this by a touchdown. I could see Jared Goff throwing a late pick to end it. That's my prediction. That's our prediction. Hazenbro locking it in. Ravens -4.5. All right. Pick is locked.
I'll be honest. I don't think the Lions are that bad. 4.5 points worse than Baltimore.
I think they're a good team.
I think the Lions are going to – I'm not saying they're going to win, but I'd be surprised if this is more than a field goal game.
Okay. Well, there you go. You guys are happy.
All of a sudden, we're even, Steven.
All right. We'll see what comes of it tonight. Wow. All right. The CFL rule changes. All right, I saw you tweeting about it, and you've been talking about it. So they announced it today. Stuart Johnston will join us later this hour. And they're going to move the goalpost back eventually. They're going to shrink the end zone. They're going to shrink the field. It's no longer 110 yards. It's going to be 100. Same width. They're going to move the benches, right?
Yeah,
they're going to modify the rouge.
Yes.
What do you make of these rules, and how much of an impact do you think it's going to have on – the fans, ultimately, because that's the only reason you make a move like this.
The only thing I was a bit confused about was taking out the 55. I think all the rest of them are just almost no-brainers. I think it's a great play. And what's tough is you got to understand, the whole context of everything. You look at the end zones, and it's like, oh, well, we have 15-yard end zones. Okay, well, right now we don't even have standardized. There's 9 teams, and 2 of the teams don't have regular size end zones. You can't, if you want to button this league up and you want to grow this as a professional football league, you can't stroll in with 9 teams, and one of them, which we were at the game, has 18-yard end zones instead of 20 yards. And if you go play at McGill, it's not a full square. It's the actual, the corners are clipped because of the size. So I love the idea that it's 15 yards, and I love, personally for me, that it's going to be standardized across the league. Again, could you guys imagine going to a hockey game and all of a sudden, hey, if we play in Boston this week, the net is bigger or the net's not as small?
Well, it used to be, Luke, before the cookie cutter rinks, you go to Boston, that rink was not 200 by 80.
Correct.
It was 185 by 75 type of some of these rinks in different cities were smaller or more unique. It had different glass, all of that type of stuff. But nowadays everything is standard cookie cutter because you expect to play on the same field, same ice, same name it. in any city. But that wasn't the case years ago. Now it is. It's the standard case.
And Noodles, I'm glad you brought that up because, and I get that it's unique and it's fun. Like, hey, 35, 40 years ago, you'd go to a rink and that, it's a little different. But in today's day and age, you can't have those things. Like, if you want gambling to become a thing, which I know I'm, not the biggest gambler on planet Earth, but I know it's a big revenue generator for the league, for bringing fans into the league. Like, we got to be honest. And I don't work at FanDuel, but I can imagine that whoever's making the CFL odds probably doesn't love that the end zones are 2 yards smaller at BMO. How do we do the analytics on that? Like, there's a million things where you have to standardize things. It's just the reality of the situation. And so I love the end zone thing. The goalpost, I think, is phenomenal. Again, it's one of those ordeals where, hey, we don't really need to be shaping skinny post balls around goalposts if you're a quarterback.
It's always looked awkward. It never. I get it, uniquely Canadian, but unnecessary.
So, and you said something there, Hayes. And there's a big thing online right now. It's a war on Twitter, but like Canadian, uniquely Canadian. I thought Stu did a phenomenal job. Let me just go over some Canadian things real quick. Okay. First off, you have 12 guys in the field. Secondly, you have 15-yard end zones. Third, you have a 64 width field. Fourth, everyone can be in motion. Fifth, there's 3 downs. Sixth, the entire special teams with regards to ball is live right away on kickoffs. Okay, there's no fair catches on punts. All of that, Canadian. Oh, by the way, 21 guys per roster have to be Canadian. Their definition is not exactly Canadian citizen, but most of them are. There's the odd one where it's like, hey, I played college in Canada, et cetera.
Right.
Almost every aspect of this league is Canadian. Almost every single thing. And I think it's great. It's the Canadian Football League. It should have those things. But if we make a tweak, to the end zone, and still, I don't know another league that's 15-yard end zones. Maybe I don't know many other football leagues, so maybe Europe had it. I don't know. 15-yard end zone, you know what that is? It's still uniquely Canadian. That's not an NFL end zone. So it's weird because everyone's like, oh, we're trending towards 4 downs. No, we're not. There's like a million things in this league that make it uniquely Canadian. Just because it's different and they're trying to bring new fans in does not make it bad or anti-Canadian.
Okay. Something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. We've been asking that. If you're going to make changes, if you really want to make a ripple effect here, should the CFL go to 4 downs?
No, never. Clip that, Doogie. Clip that.
No, never?
No.
Okay.
Listen,
no,
Hayes, as far as this is a personal opinion, like I like to try and split these things I say about the CFL and like what's based in film. Like, I'll say, this is factual. I watch a lot. I buzz a lot of CFL film versus, like, this is an opinion. Okay? Right now, you saw at BMO, there's not a lot of fans of the CFL, especially in Ontario. Obviously, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan are a bit of an outlier. Hamilton is very hit or miss. A much better as far as quantity goes of fans than Toronto. But if you pull the 3 down card and make this like a feeder league, personally, again, an opinion, I don't really think that drives many more people to see it. There are a lot of NFL snobs out there, which I like. I'm an NFL guy. But I don't think they're going to be like, oh, now I'm going to watch the CFL because it's American football rules. That's not, I don't think that happens. So, again, I think you keep as many Canadian aspects of the game as you can, but also bring in like, hey, this just looks better. It's more professional. It's better for the guys. I mean, think about you guys are going to laugh at this, but I was joking, like the sideline thing. So for us, like if you're on offense and you're, sitting there and you're waiting for personnel, let's say you're the extra lineman. So when they go jumbo, they're 310 pounds. So what you do is like, hey, on the sideline, the coach will be like, hey, alert jumbo, we're getting into the red zone or like short yardage. It's jumbo personnel. Yeah. You follow the personnel coach on the sideline, whoever's calling that in. Generally, if the offensive coordinator's there, you're hovering around him. Imagine, like, the ball's in the 7, you're 310 pounds and you've got to be on your own 45 because there's 2 teams on the sideline. The coach calls jumbo, and you've got to do a nice 65-yard hustle in there. Oh, by the way, we want to talk about gameplay. The play clock and the game clock are not mirrored. So the game clock is running, but we're now waiting for the extra 6-0 lineman to come in so that we can start the play clock. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they're little things. You get them out of the way. It's going to be a smoother game. Guys are now sitting on the 35, right by the coach. Subs go in. Clock's moving. Game's going. This is great. Yeah. Like, that small change is for the fluidity of the game is great. And it's just the pushback on some. And I feel for Stu. It's ridiculous.
CFL fans are sensitive, man. They are. Sensitive. They always feel like, and yet it's because of what you said. You know, like the reason they're making these changes is try to get new fans. I don't know if these are going to get you new fans.
So this is where I
don't know if they will.
Out. This is where I
you said what you said about the 4 downs, and I agree with that. I agree, but that would lead to the biggest ripple of biggest response. Like that's because I said earlier, what makes the CFL is 3 downs.
Yes.
Like first and foremost, you mentioned a lot of other important things, motion, 12 guys. You know, but it's really 3 downs. Like the fundamentals of football, you have one less down per possession. It's very significant in terms of the way the game is played. But you know, I don't know. I don't know
worry, Hayes, that there'll be an effect on this, and I think we've briefly talked about this. There's a operations cap in the CFL, and I don't have time to go down that rabbit hole, but how it was implemented. But basically, there's a certain salary / number of coaches and operational people that are allowed team by team. And it's way too low. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where, as far as the on-field product goes, until we get to the point where, we have sufficient coaches and film guys and strength coaches and nutritionists and all of the above, it's going to be very tough for me to think that, there's going to be a drastic improvement.
Right.
No, those things do matter in this day and age. I talked to a gentleman the other day, played 8 years in the CFL, recently retired, and was like, I didn't have a positional coach at any time in my career in the CFL. For me, I was the only guy, we were the only group that didn't have 2 positional guys in Seattle. Generally, you have your wide receivers coach and your wide receivers coach assistant. You know, your tight end coach, we only had 1, but generally you have a assistant or a tight end's quality control guy. 2 guys in the court. These isn't the coordinator floats. You know, the offensive coordinator floats.
It's the chicken or the egg, though, right?
Correct.
The owners will say we don't have the money,
and that's exactly what ends up happening. So if this leads to money, which now we can bump the cap, the operations cap I'm talking about, right. It's good. It's good things.
All right. Well, we'll ask the commissioner in 15 minutes on this. Ravens pick locked in. Good luck tonight, Partsy.
Can't wait.
Luck tonight.
Can't wait.
All right, there he is, Luke Wilson. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Tonight on TSN 1050, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Hear it all on TSN 1050. The NFL lives here. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Don't sweat the technique.
Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Looking at the Monday Nighter tonight. Ravens laying the points, -4.5, and Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown tonight. I think Lamar goes off.
I do, too. I think he's going to torch this
I think he's going to
tonight.
have a great night, man. I love Lamar under the lights at home. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. So laying the points for the Ravens, Lamar anytime touchdown, paying +310. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Same game parlays this NFL season now include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+, physically located in Ontario. Easton Count, what's your best bet after one game on the likelihood of him making the Leafs opening night?
I still think he's got a pretty good chance of making it. He didn't stand out for me yesterday.
No, me neither.
But the one
looked
thing,
fine,
Brian,
but...
he looked fine. The one thing that I believe the Maple Leafs are looking for him is his play away from the puck. We all know he's good with the puck. But keep in mind, in the National Hockey League, if you look at even analytics, like the top players, McDavid's of the world and that, they handle the puck like a minute and 10 seconds in a game. And those are the best players. So you've got to learn to play away from the puck. But he wasn't noticeable. He's not a physical guy. As long as they see something that he can handle himself, in his defensive zone, maybe win a loose puck battle here and there, then he'll get an opportunity to push up in the lineup. But that being said, I talked about it before, Brian, like if Tree has a problem where he's got guys that showed up, NHL players that look good, Yarncroke looked good, Nick Robertson is pushing for a spot, then they've got Cowan that doesn't need waivers. So they can say, you know what, let's put you in the AHL for a weekend. But I think they're going to give him every opportunity to make this team, but they just might not place him in a situation going, hey, you're riding shotgun with Matthews so you can get some points.
No, I don't think that would be smart. I don't think, it sounds like Domi's going to get that opportunity. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe Michelli, who knows. Yeah. But, you mentioned puck battles, and he won a puck battle on that goal, and he got involved. There he is with Perron. And
a little extra.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what he's going to have to do. Like, if you're playing down the lineup, you're going to have to, exactly what you said, win battles, be noticeable. You're going to have to be gritty. You're going to have to be willing to get in there. That doesn't mean fight, but agitate a little bit. He's not the biggest guy.
No, and you have to compete.
You have to find different roles when you get into the league.
And that's the thing. Like, it's rare that a guy steps into the league and it's like, hey, you're our first line left winger. Like, that's just, again, he's had success at the junior level. The junior level to the NHL level, it's light years. It's the Butch Goring. It's light years.
Very different.
Because you've got to learn the game at the NHL level. He's got nothing but time. He's a top prospect. He's got tremendous skill. I don't think the lights are too bright for him, but I do believe he'll put a lot of pressure on himself. What I'd like this approach is for them to go relax and play. You'll find your game at the NHL level, but it's all going to be timing. We've got to sort out other players.
That's it. It's tough on a team like this too. It's a veteran team that expects to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're coming up and you're in San Jose, you're playing. And
exactly.
They want you to play, and they're going to let you play.
Exactly.
But up here, the Leafs aren't going to do that. They're just not in a position to do that. The Oilers aren't. Vegas isn't. Florida isn't. There's certain
7-8 teams that you would have to start farther down in the lineup, and conversely, there's 5-6 teams that he would be the top line.
Step
or
right in and they let
push
you play.
Right in. We saw that with Will Smith and Celebrini and that in San Jose. We see that in Chicago. He's not there. He's here.
Yep, he's in Toronto, exactly. So it's one game, but we'll see what happens with Cowan. I'm curious to see what happens with Easton Cowan as the preseason continues. Yeah. And, we got to get into the Matthews clip, too, if we can. We're tight on it today, but we will at some point this week. Him talking about Marner questions. And
what did he say?
A timeline on that.
Yeah, didn't he say? What is it? I don't know.
Why don't we play it? Let's play it quickly. This is Austin.
Austin,
just letting people know the media scrums, what the timeline is on the Marner questions.
You have a habit of in pre-game staying out as late as possible. You and Mitch always did. Have you thought about how that will change? Like, are you going to ask someone to stay out with you, or are you going to change things up this year?
See what happens? See what happens, I guess. Yeah. You got 2 more weeks, and then we're done with these questions.
I like that, man. I like it. I like it because you could tell they're all, done. Mitch is gone. He's not here anymore. He chose to leave.
Yeah.
They love Mitch, and they've said that. They've all said the nicest things you could ever say about a former teammate. Yeah. They have not been disrespectful, but asking who the pregame routine's going to be with, come on. Are you going to ask someone to stick out? I love that. Ridiculous. Will you ask somebody to stay out with you and represent Mitch? Maybe they can wear 16 in the warm-ups. You got 2 weeks.
Jonas probably asking that.
All right, Stuart Johnston coming up, commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Pretty big day in terms of the CFL's history with rule changes forthcoming. We'll catch up with Stu. We'll do that next.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Big day for the CFL. Rule changes coming, and they announced it last night. Major changes coming, Noodles.
Yes.
You knew it had to be major, right? You can't issue a press release like that and then make it minor. And I would suggest these are pretty major changes.
They are, and I wasn't sure where he was going with this because you're thinking, okay, are they going to go to 4 downs? What are they going to do? Because the word major really gets you thinking. Now, I'm going to have to ask Stu about this because we were there Friday.
Right.
And I was expecting him to come by and handshake and everything.
Do you want to get into that ask? Why?
Exactly.
Did we get big-timed on Friday? Is that what you're
maybe
suggesting?
Big-timed, or maybe he was hunkered down in a boardroom with these rule changes.
Okay.
That's probably what it is.
Here he is, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stu Johnston. Go ahead, Stu. Where were you Friday night? We were down at BMO Field.
Look at this, putting me right on the hot seat. First question, ridiculous, Jamie. You know I would never big time you. There was only one thing that could tear me away from being there. OverDrive on the field, you saving Commonwealth Stadium. Only one thing could have kept me from that, and it was a wonderful reason. I was in Hamilton attending the Canadian Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies with the most worthy recipients, amazing array of incredible players and builders giving heartfelt speeches that maybe went a little long and prevented me from a hard drive up the QEW. I was hoping to get to the game for the fourth quarter, but just ran out of time.
Well, that's understandable. I guess the Hall of Fame makes sense over us clowns being down at BMO. Exactly. It sounded like it was a great night. I know the Nail Gun was down there. Dave Naylor sent us a note last week, said he couldn't be here.
He was great.
Yeah, it was great to see it as well in terms of what was going on in Hamilton on the Saturday night, and it was a great weekend in the Canadian Football League. And then, the press release last night that you were going to have a press conference today with, major news announcements, and I would suggest they are, these rule changes that will be put in place in 26 and then in 27. I think one thing that popped in my mind that I wanted to ask you, which I will here, Stu, is, why now? This feels like it could have been a Grey Cup week announcement, maybe into the offseason. Why did it feel necessary to release this news and make these rule changes today?
Well, Brian, we've been working for months on these, and doing a ton of background work. As a core team that was all sworn oaths to secrecy as we looked at the stats, the data analytics, the football operations, and got to the point where we presented a package to the board, who approved it unanimously a couple of weeks ago, and B thought, you know what? Why wait? Well, look, I think it's hard to deny that we've created some attention. We've created a whole lot of discussion, and I love that. So we wanted to just seize the moment. We're here. We've done the work. Why sit on it? And then secondly, when you're talking about pretty major infrastructure changes to the field, giving a year and a half's notice that this is what we're looking at, this is what we're working on with turf and football, post footings and paint on fields and so forth, getting all our teams available to just work through the infrastructure. I want to give them as much time as possible. And then kind of lastly, if you think about amateur football, youth sport, all of the umbrellas of amateur football underneath Football Canada, let's give them a year and a half to think about it. There's nothing says that they will adopt these same changes. However, if they are inclined to align with this vision, I think a year and a half is a good amount of time to try and work through that. And then, guys, you know me. I try and work with pace and urgency, and this isn't going to be the last announcement we make. It is the last announcement for now that we're making on rule changes, but we're pushing forward. We want to take this league and move it to another level, and I'm incredibly confident that we can do that.
So, Stu, you've got a real passionate fan base, and you just talked about, as you can imagine, I mean, it's landed, and there are some people that maybe are early on critics of it. What do you say to them? Is it something that you're just trying to build the league out and grow the fan base, but there's some traditionalists that are voicing their opinions, and where are you at with that?
Well, Jamie, I think it depends on what the critique is. But if it's
Right.
in general, hey, we don't like change, but I get it. Change is hard. Nobody really likes change except for maybe wet babies, right? It's a very difficult thing to kind of change, especially things that have been around for a while. Having said that, what I would say is if anyone's critiquing that they're worried we're transitioning to a more American-style game, I point to what really defines us as a Canadian Football League and Canadian brand of football. I do think it's 3 downs, 12 players, a 65-yard wide field, big end zone, motion, yard off the ball, 5 yards on catches, all of that. Like, that's all in play. What we're trying to do here is create a playing surface, or as I said in the press conference, a canvas that really is going to allow the Canadian game to flourish even more. So if there's doubts that this is, that's the intention, I can just say with all sincerity, that's what we think. We're going to have more touchdowns scored. We're going to have a safer field. We're going to have a better presentation for our broadcaster and our fans. We're going to take some idiosyncrasies out that I think don't make sense. All of that's what this was.
With Stuart Johnston, Commissioner of the Canadian Football League, one of the critics would be Nathan Rourke. I'm sure you're aware of his comments from earlier today. He might be your MOP this year. He's a Canadian. He's from Oakville. And to my knowledge, it sounds like what he's really disturbed with was that the players weren't consulted. Is that accurate, and how do you respond to Nathan?
Well, first off, Nathan is a superstar in our league, and I think he's having a historic season. And I will tell you, when on a personal level, I was such a fan of his first time around in BC. And then when he tried his hand in the NFL, I was cheering so hard for him. I felt like if he could just get his opportunity, he would show the world just what an amazing player he is. And then, of course, selfishly, I'm thrilled he's back in Canada and having a season like he is, which is awesome. So, look, Nathan, of course, is an important voice in the league. And I know he's busy preparing for actual games. So when the time is right, I would love to connect with Nathan and walk him through kind of the reasoning behind what we're doing, and also kind of the really core group of a lot of football experts that were involved in looking at this. And so I'm confident, I'm incredibly confident that these are the right moves for the league, but of course I respect anyone's opinion, and whether it's Nathan Rourke or a passionate season ticket holder. I want to listen to what they have to say and hopefully be able to explain, the reasoning and the process that we went through.
Well, and I think what you said is very important and accurate. Like, the quintessential Canadian elements of the game are still here, with 3 downs most importantly. I think that's what I've always. That's how I would distinguish the difference between Canadian and American football is 3 downs. But like you mentioned, 12 guys on the field, motion, a wide field. Let's be – I don't think any of us need to be naive here, Stu. This is about finding new fans. The steadfast fans, they're going to be here. They may be aggravated in some ways, but they love the Canadian Football League. They'll continue to commit. How much do you think this is going to how many new fans do you think could arrive due to these new rules? And if it's not as many as you'd hope, how much further are you willing to go to find new fans?
Well, I think that first off, I'd say that these changes are going to be very effective in bringing the entertainment value of our game to an even higher level for both existing fans and new fans. I think any football fan is going to say, hey, I don't have a giant metal obstruction in the middle of my view of the most important area of the field. I think that's going to go over well with everybody.
Yep.
And I think that when we show highlights of amazing touchdowns or interceptions in the end zone that aren't blocked by that obstruction, I think that's going to go over well with everybody. But this is just one step. This is So, Brian, to answer your question, this isn't done to narrow in on a specific objective of attracting new fans. We think it will, but really not the primary objective. The primary objective is clean our canvas up to allow these athletes to shine. And we think this will do it. We think it's going to create a really great brand of football, and I think it's going to be exciting for new and old. But this can only be step one. This has to be part of a series of opportunities we need to explore to really win in the attention economy. You and Jamie have to do that every day. You have to win in the attention economy. Well, so do we as a league. And that's kind of our thought process as we drive, all aspects of our business forward.
Well, it was a major announcement, that is for sure. And like you said, it's created quite the buzz throughout the Canadian sports scene. And we wish you nothing but success like we always do. Congrats on this. And I'm sure we'll catch up well before the Grey Cup. Thank you for this.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
There's Stuart Johnston, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, big changes, but
I think what he said there at the end is like it's cleaning up stuff, like it's entertainment, it's modern.
Yeah.
It matters where camera angles are, where fans are, what people see, how it looks.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is cosmetic, like moving the benches, moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
It's cosmetic in nature. It's not changing the fundamentals of the sport.
No, it's progressive though. That's
it's progressive, yeah, and I think it's necessary. We had that chat with Keith Pelly last week.
Yeah.
About the Bills and the Argos, and he said, "Hey, listen, we can't just go decade after decade just saying this is just going to work.
Right.
It's going to be the same product, and this is it because we're Canadians and it's Canadian football, and so be it. These are businessmen. These are guys who are trying to push it forward." And trying to find as many eyeballs as you can and as many ticket sellers as you can and ticket buyers and create buzz. And will it all work? No. Some of it won't work.
Right.
But the beauty of it is it's your league or it's your team, it's your sport. You can change it. You can make adjustments.
That's the thing. They're trying. They're trying to be progressive. And like you say, not everything's going to land, but there will be some stuff that helps the league and will land and will bring in new fans. So I like it.
Yep, go for it. All right, thanks to Stu, thanks to Luke, thanks to Keegan today. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and, of course, up on YouTube Live. Every show is up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.